Hello, welcome to Shrewsbury Film Society's online film club again. Our film choice this time is from BFI Player and it's Listen Up Philip, which is a 2014 independent film from the USA, billed as a black comedy. It was directed by Alex Ross Perry and it stars Jason Schwartzman, Elizabeth Moss and Jonathan Pryce. Some of you may remember Moss from her role in the film The Square, which was a 2017 Swedish satire on the contemporary arts scene that we showed at the Hive in 2019, although she's probably best known for her TV roles in Mad Men and in The Handmaid's Tale. This film is a delightful, modest film. It's a punchy take on the artist as narcissist. Ironically, the artist in this film sacrifices pretty much all of his actual human relations to his obsession with writing the perfect novel about human relationships. As one reviewer put it, the character Philip in this film is a real world beater in two highly competitive fields, misanthropy and egomania. Right from the opening scene in which Schwartzman, playing the Philip of the title, meets an ex-girlfriend in a bar and delivers a spectacularly abusive, high-octane monologue, we know that we are firmly in the territory of Philip Roth, no less, in this film. I think anyone with even a passing familiarity with Roth's writing will recognise the style of any number of his fictional protagonists. Those of you, in fact, who are familiar with the outline of Roth's career will note that this is not a coincidence. Like Roth, the protagonist in this film becomes a literary success at an early age, and he teaches creative writing at a local university. Like many of Roth's characters, he is entirely self-obsessed. He has no time for the demeaning world of interviews, promotional tours, and any of the mechanics of building a literary career. He just wants to be recognised, pure and simple, for his own integrity. Philip in the film soon strikes up a friendship with a much older, successful author played by Jonathan Pryce. He too, in fact, seems remarkably like a fictionalised version of Philip Roth. In the film, he wins the National Book Prize at a young age of 32. In fact, Roth won his first National Book Prize at the age of only 27. Like Roth, Jonathan Pryce's character escapes to a house in the country where he does most of his writing. And like Roth himself, he has a long and tangled history with women, most of which has ended badly. In fact, if you read Claire Bloom's book, Out of the Doll's House, you get an extraordinary account of how impossible Roth actually was to live with. Probably not coincidentally, therefore, the character that Jonathan Pryce plays in this film is called Ike Zimmerman, which is really tantalisingly close to Roth's main alter ego in his fiction, namely Nathan Zuckerman. As with the real Roth, Ike Zimmerman has a prodigious output of novels, and there's actually a lovely sequence in the middle of the film showing a fictional montage of all of Zimmerman's books. To me, this looks uncannily like a parody of Roth's own actual output, and I can give you just a sample of how that goes just by showing you a few of them. So Roth started off with Letting Go. There were the Zuckerman novels. There was the Portnoy's Complaint that took him to fame. My Life as a Man, chronicling his catastrophic first marriage and life as a teacher at Chicago University. The Ghostwriter, one of several collections of his essays. Goodbye Columbus, another story of his early life. And he moved into a range of other novels in the 70s, and he even rather cheekily wrote the great American novel. He took a keen interest in Central European literature. Kafka was often one of the figures that he wrote about and was influenced by. There were a number of others in similar vein. He was interested in exploring the balance between fiction and reality, and in this one, for example, the alternate chapters are written by two brothers who contradict each other routinely and trash the previous chapter's version of what was actually going on. We've got this one, which was actually made into a TV series and screened quite recently, I think, on Sky. A whole series of other novels, another campus novel, another novel about obsessives, another one about people with more than one side to their character and doubles of some sort. A very moving account of his father's death from brain cancer. The first of his great late American trilogy. The book that many critics think is his finest work, but with an absolutely repulsive central character. One of his minor works. Another important piece of Roth fiction there. And then some of his later works dwelling on the end of life in one way or another. And there are a few others I've missed out, but you get the picture. And I suppose it sort of begs the question of whether someone with this extraordinary output should be entitled to get away with being horrible to all around him. This one, in fact, is of particular relevance to the film because in this story, The Ghostwriter, it's largely about Philip going to visit an older, well-established grand old man of letters whom he greatly admires. So perhaps the Ike Zimmerman character in the film is at least partly based on the E.I. Lonoff character in this novel. Fortunately, however, it's not entirely about Roth, and the film actually, partway through, does give Elizabeth Moss a really pretty substantial role. In fact, it looks at about the halfway point as if it's going to be a film of two halves, firstly about Philip, and then about Elizabeth Moss playing his partner Ashley, although in fact it doesn't quite work out like that. But there is a significant and fascinating element, I think, about her breaking free of Philip and shaping her own life in her own way. You'll notice, I think, in the film that there's a remarkably consistent atmosphere, with almost all of the images having a rather lovely yellow tinge to them from the late autumn sun. But they do so actually at all times of day, indoors and out. There's a very, very consistent colour theme to the film. And I think that's further enhanced by the slightly soft focus, which I think comes from it being shot on Super 16mm and then blown up to full size, which I imagine was a decision partly based just on economics. For me, that consistency of tone and the extensive use of close-ups and handheld cameras really draws one in and makes the time pass pretty quickly. It was really actually only at the end of the film, when the credits were running, that I did wonder whether anyone who is quite as relentlessly horrible as Philip is in this film could actually be attractive to anyone, never mind to so many people as he is. But such characters do seem to exist. The director, Alex Ross Perry, he was 30 at the time when the film was made, so pretty much the same age as Philip, his protagonist. And since then he's made about 5 more films, I think, all in different genres of drama. So we hope you enjoy this one and that you'll be able to join us on Zoom to discuss it in a couple of weeks' time.